Good morning, my name is Heather from Fork in the Loaf blog, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite things to do with my sourdough starter. This is why I keep it as thick as I do. Super easy, and let us begin. I'm going to move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. In my bowl, I have 2 eggs, and I'm going to add to the eggs a teaspoon of baking soda, about a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar, and I'm going to add some powdered milk. I know that like pancake recipes, you usually use buttermilk or milk. I don't use any extra liquid. I don't use any extra liquid. I try to cut that out. So instead, I'm going to use the equivalent of 1 cup of milk. I don't use liquid milk because I don't need this any more liquid. And if I do, I can add water. So instead, I just use powdered milk. You could use instant milk, but you're going to want to check how much milk you need for a cup of milk. I don't use instant powdered milk. It's a non-instant powdered milk, so I only need 3 tablespoons per cup. Once I get my eggs, baking soda, salt, sugar, and milk in here, I'm going to whisk it together. I don't want the lumps of milk, and I don't want lumps of baking soda. And the baking soda will start interacting with what acids are in some of the food product and start creating a bubbling. Okay, so I'm going to add 1/4 cup of melted butter to this, and because it's still slightly warm, it's not hot, but I'm just going to kind of whisk it in instead of just pouring it in and letting it cook the egg. Alright, so once I've got my eggs, butter, all this stuff mixed together. So this is my 1 cup measuring cup spoon, and yes, it's metal. It is stainless steel, and I'm not using it to store my starter in. I'm just pulling some out. And I need about 2 cups of this. Do I have 2 cups? That is the question. Now I'm kind of cutting this. I'm not stirring it hard. You don't want to beat these. You'll have tough pancakes that you can't get a fork through. You're just going to kind of fold it through. Now while I've been making this batter, I've had my cast iron skillets on the stove warming up. So I'm going to move the camera over to there, and I will show you what we do next. Okay, so my pans are hot. I let them heat up while we were doing the batter. And I'm just going to take, I make my own ghee. So I'm just going to take my ghee, that will be another video, and I'm just going to put a layer of ghee. It doesn't have to be a lot. The more you have, kind of the crunchier your pancake is going to come out. It's like it gets a nice crispiness to it, and I really like it. This is just a plain old, and it's an old, what is this called, a ladle? Just a plain old ladle. I have no idea what size. I'm guessing close to a 1/2 cup, and I'm going to fill it just kind of pretty level, and I'm going to put my pancake on there. Now, if this is too thick for you, you can add a little water to it, and it will thin out some for you. Or if you like it thicker, you're going to want to have a thicker starter. My starter is actually pretty thick. I keep it at about 50% hydration for these events. Like when I make pancakes, when I make waffles. I have just put out a video on how to make biscuits with your sourdough starter that were amazing. Check that video out. I can put a link down below. And I'm going to just let these sit for about 2 minutes per side. They're just starting to dry on the edges. There's still quite a bit of moisture in the middle. If I flip this one now, you're going to have a little bit of a splatter. So I'm going to hold off on that one. But this one, I wish I could show you. I wonder if I can. See how it's got all those dry edges and it's still kind of glossy in the middle, but it's almost solid. We're going to go ahead and flip that one. I'm betting the rest will be ready. Beautiful. That needs to be a little warmer. When you are cooking this side, you're going to give it another minute to 2 minutes. You want to make sure it's done all the way through, and you want to make sure you get a little bit of a browning on that side as well. So this side is about done, and this one is about done. Let's put this way. See, it's not very good. So I'm going to take a little bit of some Kerrygold butter and just put a little bit of that on there. Got some maple syrup. I'm going to put some of that on there. Serve that with some fresh fruit, serve it with a couple eggs, and you got a great breakfast with a good, healthy sourdough, fermented, fully fermented batter. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. This is my favorite thing to do, a sourdough starter. This is the main reason I keep it as thick as I keep it. There's a biscuit that I use the sourdough starter for. They turned out great. And then I also have a waffle recipe. So I will show you those next time on a fork in the loaf.